So Montana asked me, how do you think your mom and dad would feel if you tried to locate your birth parents? And I thought that was a good question too, because most of the time when people ask me questions, it's usually about like my perspective or my own opinion, and really not about how I think other people in my family would necessarily feel. So this is a really good question. My mom has vocalized that she would be willing to help me try to find them and try to contact them, or my birth family. And she's really behind me all the way. My family I know they will support me if I do want to try to reach out for my birth parents. I know that everyone in my family would want to help me with that and would be supportive and really, really great about it. I have no doubt in my mind that they would not be happy for me, really. I am really lucky that way. A lot of other adoptees deal with the fact that their parents now, like their adoptive family, doesn't even want their children to think about their birth family at all. And I really get upset about that because, yes, that is your child. Like, they are your child, like, legally now. But that doesn't make the people in their past who created them any less, really, or something to be ashamed about, or when talked about. I know other adoptees who, when they bring up the topic of their birth parents with their adoptive parents, with their parents, they say, like, their parents say things like, oh, like, stop thinking about that, like, that's in the past, or like they don't care anymore, or that's how things are, so stop trying to change it. Like, it's really horrible, and I get really upset when I hear stories about that, because I think that adoptive parents should encourage or allow their children to seek out the other part of themselves, which they question. And the fact that parents are restricting their kids and controlling the way that they think about their identity and who they really are, I hate that. So, my parents are A-okay with it, and I know that they would love me if I did try to pursue looking for my birth parents. And who knows, maybe it will happen in the future, and my birth parents will meet my adoptive parents. That'll be a day. But yeah, we'll see if that ever happens. Michelle asked me, if given the chance to meet your birth parents, what would you say? Have you ever planned what you were going to say? And crap, I have thought about, like, what I was gonna say. Thought about different scenarios in my head of, like, when I would finally meet them. And aside from, like, the obvious questions, which are like, why? Why did you give me up for adoption? Why did you leave me there by the hospital? Do I have siblings? Where would I have lived? What do you do? There's so many questions. So many questions. Even just from, like, really big ones, which is like, why? To, do you prefer like vanilla cake over chocolate cake like me? Like little things like that. Like, even just small questions, even just about things that they enjoy or hobby, like if they like certain things. There are so many questions, and I would want to know, like, every single one of them. I feel like, though, realistically, I would be in shock for, like, quite a few days, just because that moment I'm sure a lot of you can imagine, like, in that moment of meeting your birth parents, like, that is huge, like, and especially if you have your adoptive family and your birth family there together, and then you're in the middle of it, like, that's literally two worlds colliding together. Like my brain would be exploding. Like I really, I would be in shock, and I don't even know how I would really react. I feel like right now, I could say I would be calm and very level-headed about everything and have a list of questions, but really, like, I don't really know how it would go. I don't know. I think overall, like, the main thing would be asking them why. I just really want to know that question, and I think all adoptees do. Although, except, you know, part of that, it's scary because you want to know the reason why you're given up for adoption. But then at the same time, you're scared because it could be something really horrible, like they didn't love you or they didn't want you at all. And I think that's one of the hardest things about really thinking about your birth family, is the fact that, you come up with all these reasons of why they gave you up for adoption. Like, maybe it was teen pregnancy, maybe they couldn't financially afford you, maybe it was really, like, the Chinese government, like, they're, like, that sort of things. And those are things that you can blame external reasons on. But if they say, we just didn't want you, or because we preferred a boy and you weren't a boy, so we didn't want a girl, I feel like that'd be so hard. I don't even know how I would react to that. I really don't. It's hard, and I really don't know what I would say to them to, like, every extent. Just basic questions. And then maybe if I get to know them more, then I would want to know a bit more about themselves and ask them, like, deeper questions, I guess. But really the main question is why.